In this video, we are going to learn a new chapter. How do we fall ill? This is ninth class NCERT, chapter 13. So, in my opinion, this is the most important topic, most important chapter in science, and there is a misconception in common masses, particularly in India, that diseases are caused by going outside in cold, bathing with cold water, and in some rural areas where the superstition prevails, people thinks about some bad spirits, some bad energies, and all that thing. Sometime some mata and all that, some bhoot pichas. So people have a different opinion about. People have different. There is a concept. It is there in the rural areas that people fall ill if the body is not properly functioning, and like someone got a fever, someone got something else. So they don't know the real cause of the malfunctioning of their body, and not abnormal functioning of their body, and we can say, and not unhealthy functioning of their body. And so in my opinion is subjective. This is gonna be most important chapter, understanding why we feel fall ill, uh, हम बीमार क्यों होते हैं, and I think understanding the basic concept of this chapter will bring a change how we look a disease, you know and so without like discussing any further thing, like start with this chapter. The chapter says, why do we fall ill? So the why questions arises, and uh, you know society have a different opinion. Like somebody fall ill, and your parents might be told you ki you went in the rainy season, and you went in, like, maybe different opinion, but they don't know the exact cause. In science, after research, after a prolonged scientific investigation and research through experiments, we have reached at a different conclusion that the microorganisms are the cause of illness. There are others also, but uh, let's discuss these causes in this video through this chapter. So we will be only discussing the important issues in it, and not going thoroughly through the chapter. And I will provide a basic concept and overview of this chapter. And let's start. When do we exercise? We realize that health and disease in human communities is very complex issue, and with many interconnected causes, we also realize that the idea of what health and disease mean are themselves very complicated. When we ask what causes a disease and how we prevent themselves, we begin to asking to these notion what these notions mean. Like, what is the health, what is a disease. See, look, we have in a previous chapter have learned the cell, the basic unit of life. Then we have learned the tissue, and then we learned uh, uh, diversity in living organisms. After this, like, we know after reading these chapters, like cell is a made of variety of chemical substances called proteins, carbohydrate, fats, lipids, and so on. And cell is a dynamic place. Dynamic place means something happening inside the cell always. Something or other is always happening inside them. There's a chemical process happening, respiration is going inside the cell, and cell forms the building block. Being a building block, it performs all the necessary activity uh, to make a whole organism alive. If these activities are stopped anyway, and the life becomes a living organism become a dead. So the complex reaction and the repairs go inside the cell, and new cells are being made in our organs or tissue. There are various specialized activities going on, like uh, the heart is beating, the lungs breathing, the kidneys are filtering uh, blood and makes urine, the brain is thinking, and many other processes happens. Some are voluntaries and some are involuntaries. These activities are interconnected, and these are interconnected. For example, if the kidneys are not filtering urine, the poisonous substance will accumulate. Under such condition, the brain will not be able to think properly. So, if of one functioning of one organ damages, the other also get affected. For all these interconnected activities, energy, raw material are needed. Food is a necessity for a cell and a tissue function. Anything that prevents a proper functioning of cell tissue will lead to the lack of the activity in the body. So this is the most important thing to build the concept of how do we feel or fall ill. Any disease, anything that prevents the proper functioning of tissue, anything that will prevent proper functioning of tissue will lead to the lack of proper activity in the body. So it is very important to keep the human being to organism healthy. There should be the proper functioning of cells and tissues, and if the cells and tissue will proper function properly, the whole organism will function properly. And we have gone through detail very much. Now we will be revising only the important things. Health and its failure. The significance of health. Health is therefore a state of well-being, well enough to function well physically, mentally, and socially. So three things are important. Not health is not only uh, like disease free. It should be physically healthy, mentally healthy, and socially healthy. This thing is also important. Socially healthy. In next classes, we will discuss this social health in detail. Personal and communities issue both matters for health. Both personal and communities issues matters. We are dependent on community, we are dependent on social society for a good functioning of health. How? Because everything is coming from the society. The water is coming from the society, the food is coming from society, the environmental condition, like how hygiene the environment is the proper, all the sanitation is there, all the health related services are being provided by the authorities, you know uh, so the health is like depends on society also, in which society we live in. This is what it is discussed about the garbage thing. Consider what would happen if no agency is ensuring that garbage is collected or disposed. Definitely there will be a lot of garbage around it, and organism like mosquito and all that will attract from it, and they are the transmitter of the disease that we will discuss in this video. So let's discuss how the like transmission happens. Prevention of transmission of disease by maintaining sanitation and hygiene. So this is the society, and we are here, and how the disease can be transmitted. Suppose a fecal matter contain some bacteria and viruses, and which, if inhaled or like comes inside the human body, they live there and they colonize our organs, and this is how our tissues and the proper functioning of our tissues and cells interrupted. And this is and we see we we got symptoms, and this is what the disease is. So the fluids, let's this picture has differentiated between the health and sanitation, sorry, hygiene and sanitation. So H is a hygiene and S is sanitation. So about the fluids, the water we take, this is a fecal matter, a fecal matter of maybe it could be, basically it can be human. Most of the disease like spreads from the human fecal matter, and also they also include animals also. But human thing is contributes a major part, because the most of the disease causing bacteria are found is this, especially Salmonella typhi, which causes a typhoid fever. Fluids, when you take fluids, protect the water source. If you protect the water source, this is hygiene. Treat the water source safely is sanitation. About the hands, about the fingers, wash the hand before preparing or taking food is a hygiene, and washing hands after defecation is a sanitation. And cover the food is hygiene. Control flies is sanitation. So sanitation are like uh, preventive methods. Both sanitation and hygienes are preventive methods. Avoid open defecation is a sanitation, and clean vegetable and fruit. Like see, just by reading this, what I understood is, first comes the sanitation, then comes the hygiene. Okay, like avoid open defecation. This is the first thing we should avoid, open defecation. And if there is open defecation, then the second thing we can do is, the nearby vegetables which is grown nearby vegetable should be cleaned before consuming. So this comes under the hygiene. And treatment, the water tanks should be treated, and there should be treatment in the water tanks. This goes sanitation. And proper drainage system is comes under hygiene. And distinction between health and disease free. So let's understand this, healthy and disease free, there's a difference. Disease, let's explain the disease is a self-explanatory word. And disease is formed by the disturbance of ease. This is a negative word, it means negative something. And ease means comfortable, like comfortable feel, I'm at ease, I am good. So this is means not good. So in the word, the literal meaning, so what the literal meaning, the root word is, means being uncomfortable. This is what the disease word, literal meaning of disease is. Now however, the word is used in more limited meaning. We talk of disease when we find it a specific or a particular cause for discomfort. This does not mean that we have to know the absolute final cause. We can say that someone is suffering from diarrhea without knowing the exactly what causes a loose motion. So Disease and its cause. So let's talk about a disease. Like we differentiated disease into two categories. One is a disease which is uh, happens in body for short term. One is for a long term, or maybe a lifetime. So tissue make up a physiological system or organ system that carry out body function, and tissue are a group of cells. And when there is a disease, either the functioning of one or more system of the body will change to worse. So like we are understanding what disease is. Disease is when the proper functioning of the body like with changes to worst, and these changes give rise to symptoms when the body is not functioning properly, since the tissue and the cells are not functioning properly. So this gives us symptoms and signs of disease. Symptoms of a disease are the things that we feel being wrong. So we have a headache, we have a headache, we have a cough, we have a loose motion, we have a wound with pus. These are all symptoms. So these things are symptoms. Why? What these symptoms indicate? These symptoms indicates that something was happening in tissues or in cells of our body. So this is what these symptoms like indicates. So symptoms science will give uh, a little more definite indication of presence of a particular disease. So someone is like maybe having a stomach ache. So these symptoms indicate there's something going wrong inside the cells and tissues of our stomach. uh, so so these give a little more definite indication like what's wrong going in our body. And physician will get a laboratory test done to pinpoint the disease further. So physician will do multiple lab tests, and machines will check your body, through the modern scientific instruments, and will find out what part of your body is like not working properly, what tissues and what cells are not functioning, and why these are not functioning, what is the cause of what causes these organs become less functionable or like non-functionable. So before going to that, let's differentiate the disease into two categories. One is acute and another is chronic disease. Like there's a these are simple topics. Disease, some disease lasts for only very short period of time. These diseases are called acute diseases. Like these last only short period of time, about from 2 3 days to about a week or 2 week, not more than that. And a long time, even much as a lifetime illness, are called chronic disease. So acute means short time, short period, which gets well in just like 2 3, maybe 2 to 10 days. And chronic disease are longer than that, about a month, years, and sometimes even a lifetime. And chronic disease and poor health. A chronic disease such as tuberculosis of the lungs, then being ill over the years does make us lose weight and feel tired all the time. The chronic disease, the tuberculosis is a chronic disease. When it happens, we feel tired and we lose our weight. So now going into the like main topic, what causes disease. Now we have understood like proper functioning of cell and tissues, like when hijacked by something else, then we get symptoms, and symptoms indicates what disease can be. and after a lab test, these diseases can be pinpointed. Now let's go to the cause. What causes the cells and tissue like not functioning well? So what causes a disease? When we think about uh, causes of disease, we must remember that there are many levels of such causes. Let us look at the example. If there is a baby suffering from loose motion, we can say that the cause of loose motion will probably an infection. But the next question is, why did an infection? Where did the infection come from? Suppose we find that the infection came from the unclean drinking water. Unclean, it comes from unclean drinking water that we just discussed in the first this one. This unclean drinking water, this fluid was taken, which might have some fecal matter. And this indicates that many of there may be a disease, but they don't indicate what the disease is. For example, headache may mean just examination stress, or very rarely it may mean meningitis, or any one of a dozen of different diseases. Signs of disease are what physician will look. Oh, sorry, I'm reading the same thing again, I think. Okay, what causes disease? I was here. So the baby was ill. The baby like got loose motions, and loose motion was probably by infection. And what causes this infection? Probably the unclean drinking water causes infection. But many baby must have heard this unclean drinking water. So, like, what could be the reason for this? One reason might be that baby is not healthy. As a result, it might be more likely to have disease when exposed to risk. And whereas a healthier baby would not. So only the poor health baby is getting a disease. And why the poor health baby, like why the baby is not healthy, why its health is poor? Perhaps because it is not well nourished and does not get enough food. Why a baby is unhealthy? Because it might not giving the sufficient nutrition. And why so lack of a good nutrition becomes the second cause of disease. Further, why the baby is not well nourished? Perhaps because his household because his family is poor. So this it is also possible that a baby has some genetic differences which that makes it more likely to suffer from a loose motion when exposed to pathogens. And when exposed to pathogen, this is a main important thing. Without pathogens, the genetic difference or the poor nourishment alone would not lead to the loose motions, but they do become a contributory causes of the disease. So disease are like first caused by the pathogens. These are the main regions. And there are something can supplement poor nourishment and low like resistance, low immunity, and genetic differences, which makes the baby more likely to like get disease from it. So uh, why there is no clean drinking water for the baby? Perhaps because the public services are poor where the baby family lives. So this is how the society comes in the, so poverty, lack of public services become a third cause of babies disease. So it has broken into three things. Like one is like drinking unclean water which contains pathogens, and baby got sick. And not every baby will get sick by drinking the same water, because this is the first one. And second thing will be, like, as not every baby will get sick by drinking that water. So second thing comes in nourishment, and baby is not nourished well, so that it doesn't have a proper like immunity for the fighting of disease. So nourishment, proper and food, sufficient nutrition is the second thing. Now third thing is like the environment, like the circumstances, like families and lack of public services and hygiene environment. This comes the third thing. So any of these things, these all things contributes to make us ill. And the primary thing, without pathogens there cannot be disease. Pathogens are the basic things, and what complements these things are the secondary and tertiary, about its like nutrition, and third thing about the like like services, like environment, surroundings and all that. Infection, so disease are basically categorized into categories. One is infectious and second is non-infectious causes. One group, one group of causes in is the infectious agent, mostly microbes. So infectious diseases are those which are caused by microbes or microorganisms. Disease where microbes are the immediate cause are called infectious disease. This is because the microbes can spread in communities, and the disease they cause will spread to them. So infectious are those diseases which are caused by the microbes. And then what are the non-infectious diseases? Diseases which are not caused by the infectious agents. Their cause vary, but they are not external causes like microbes. They can spread community. They that can spread community. Matlab, see, communicable non-infectious disease are not caused by the microbes, but these are mostly internal non-infectious disease. Like for examples, like some cancer are caused by genetic abnormalities. High blood pressure can be caused by excessive weight or like lack of exercise. And overeating cause of obesities. And excessive consumption of sugar also causes diabetes and all that. So these are like caused by internal things, not from any outside pathogens and all that. So these are also non-infectious disease. They cannot be, like if I come to a heart patient, I will not get a heart disease. If I come to high blood pressure, I will not get a high blood pressure. So although in on contrary, if I go to someone suffering from TB, which is a microbial disease, or some other maybe a fever, high fever caused by microbes and all the other things, viral diseases, I may it has a possibility that I may also get infected, because the microbes which infected the cells and tissues of the body can also, through talking and through handshaking and other ways and any other ways, may come to our body, these microbes. And these microbes will again colonize our cells, colonize our organs, and I will also get ill from it. So this is how like microbes uh, causing diseases are infectious, and non-infectious are like internal, mostly internals. Here we have given a peptic ulcer. Like peptic means stomach. This is a stomach, like it's uh, stomach like J, it's like J. Okay, like for many years, everybody used to think that peptic ulcers, which causes acidity related pain and bleeding in the stomach and doldrum, were because of lifestyle reasons, and everybody thought that the stressful life led to a lot of acid secretion in the stomach, eventually caused a peptic ulcer. So earlier, as I discussed in the starting of the chapter, what society generally thinks, how the diseases causes. So, in case of peptic ulcer, like people used to think it is like it's due to stressful life. So then the two Australian made a discovery that a bacterium, Helicobacter pylori, was responsible for the peptic ulcer. Like in the treatment study, the Marshall and Warren showed that patient could be cured of peptic ulcer only when the bacteria are killed off from the stomach, and can be cured in by a short period of treatment with antibiotic. So they discovered that the cause of the peptic ulcer is a bacteria, and when we take some pills of antibacteria, and the peptic ulcer can be treated, not can be treated, will get treated. So that the Nobel Prize for Physiology and Medicine for 2005 goes to, like, was awarded to Warren, both Warren and Marshall, both guys. Let's talk about the infectious disease. Like, what are the infectious agents? Some of them are the infectious agents are viruses, bacteria, fungi. Some are single-celled animals or protozoa, and some diseases are also caused by the multicellular organisms such as worms of different kind. So these are the different like viruses and bacterias. These looks viruses, and this is some the picture of trypanosoma or protozoa organism responsible for sleeping sickness. And this picture is a this Staphylococci, a bacteria which can cause acne. Acne is a like pimple, oily thing in a skin. And this is a picture of Leishmania, which the protozoa organism causes a kalajar. So these are the some of the like pictorial like of presentation of viruses, bacteria, and other pathogens which causes a specific disease. Like this causes a sleeping sickness. And one more thing is this picture of an adult roundworm from the small intestine. The So this is a roundworm. It's mostly found in a like its colon areas, or like in animal body also. The common example of disease caused by the viruses are viruses. What types of common disease caused by virus are the common cold, influenza, dengue fever, and AIDS are the common diseases. Diseases like typhoid fever, cholera, tuberculosis, and anthrax are caused by the bacteria. Many common skin infections are caused by different kind of fungi. So, skin infection are mostly caused by the fungi, protozoas, microbes, cause many familiar diseases such as malaria and kalajar. All of us have also come across the intestinal worm infection as well as disease like elephantitis caused by a different species of worm. So elephantitis is a disease when the one like becomes like very large. So this is a worm disease. All the viruses, for example, live inside the host cell, whereas the bacteria are rarely do. The viruses are not living actually; they are like chemicals, like codes, which needs a living cell to for replication. Without a living cell, the virus is just like a dead. It's like a code. Viruses, bacteria, fungi multiply very quickly, while worms multiply very slowly in comparison. Taxonomically, all the bacteria are closely related to each other than to viruses and vice versa. So we have a different like taxonomical differentiation. This the bacteria and viruses both have a different cellular process. This means that many important life processes are similar in the bacteria group, but are not shared with the virus group. Definitely, yeah, bacteria is a different thing and virus is a different thing. Though there will be the many similar life process in bacteria which are not present in the virus, and same vice versa. As a result, drug that blocks one of these life processes in one member of group is likely to be effective against the other member of the group. Suppose there are two types of bacteria, and if a life process and they have a similar life processes, how they replicate, how they make cell walls, how the internal things happening in the bacteria, they are almost similar. So a drug, something, a medicine, a drug that blocks life process of this bacteria has a possibility that it will also block uh, the cellular process of this bacteria also, but it may not like block that process of virus, because virus the cellular process is very different. For example, let us take an antibiotic. Let us take antibiotic. They commonly blocks biochemical pathways important for bacteria. This is antibiotic. This is why the anti against a biotic bacteria. Many bacteria, for example, make a cell wall to protect themselves. Antibiotic penicillin blocks the bacterial process that builds a cell wall. In the chapter cell, we discussed that the bacteria has a cell wall, and so the plant cell has a cell walls. So what did this antibacterial penicillin does? It blocks the bacterial process that builds the cell walls. So as a result, the growing bacteria will become unable to make a cell wall and die easily. Human cells don't have a cell walls, don't make a cell wall anyway. So this drug penicillin cannot have such effect to us. So it cannot affect to the cell which does not have a cell wall. It will affect only the bacteria because it is the only like guy who has a cell wall. Similarly, many antibiotic works against many species of bacteria rather than simply working against them. So most of the bacteria are like similar character, and they almost have a like cell wall. So if the cell wall is broken by some drug, so definitely, and most of the related members of the bacteria will also like dysfunction when like injected this drug. But viruses do not use pathways at all, and that is the reason why the antibiotic do not work against the viral infection. If we have a common cold, taking antibiotic does not reduce the severity or duration of the disease. However, if we also get a bacterial infection along with the viral cold, taking an antibiotic will help. even when the antibiotic will work only against the bacterial part of infection, not a viral part. Suppose you are infected with both bacteria and virus. If you take a antibacterial pills, it will relieve by solving this problem, bacteria one, but it will not cure you from the virus one. So you have to take both antiviral for a virus and antibacteria for the bacteria, if you are infected with both things. A means of spread. Let's talk about how these bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens are like bacteria, viruses. These are the pathogen. Bacteria, viruses, fungi, and worms are the pathogen which causes malfunctioning of our organelles by infecting or leaving our tissues and cells. Like many microbial agents can commonly move from an affected person to somebody else in variety ways. There are varieties of ways, and these ways, in other words, they can be communicated. So if they can spread, and these are communicable disease. Obviously, the more crowded our living conditions are, the more likely that the such airborne diseases will spread. Airborne diseases are those diseases which spread through air. Like the common example is COVID-19. Like COVID thing, like it was a airborne. Someone have a COVID and it will sneeze. It will the droplets of that virus will get into the environment, and somebody nearby inhaled the same air, and the same bacteria will infect to the upper respiratory system and lungs to lungs. And this is how the disease communicated, and these are called communicable disease. And when the medium is air, then these are airborne disease. If the medium is water, these are called waterborne diseases. Disease can also be spread through water, and this occurs if the excreta means feces, which is poop actually, na. So this occurs if the excreta of some animal suffering from an infectious gut disease. So that guy should also be suffering from infection caused by that virus, a particular virus, such as cholera, get mixed with the drinking water used by the people living nearby. The cholera causing microbes will enter into healthy persons, and through the water they drink and cause disease in them. Such disease are much more likely to spread in absence of safe supplies for drinking water. So if the drinking water supplies are not safe, recently there is a news, in Indore many people died, and many thousands hospitalized due to the you know uh, pathogenic water supplies. So these are the waterborne disease, and some bacteria or viruses which causes infection in the gut were present in the water. And how they are why they are present, because it came from excreta. So due to the pipeline leakage, the the sewage tunnel and the pipeline tunnel have a similar goes through similar line. If there is some leakage there and the cracks there, and they will get mixed, and the virus will also bacteria and pathogens will also mixed in the water, and this water goes in our homes, and we drink it water without boiling it, or without filtering it properly, and then these bacteria will also enter our gut and will also colonize our gut, and we also get symptom, and we will we will get ill. AIDS. So AIDS is like transmitted by sexual contact from one partner to other partner. However, sexually transmitted disease cannot spread by the physical contact. Other than sexual contact, viruses causing HIV can also be spread through the blood to blood contact with the infected people, or from an infected mother to her baby during the pregnancy through the breastfeeding. During her pregnancy or through pregnancy, during the umbilical cord, there is a this baby, from its navel is God's umbilical cord. Either it can be through this or through breastfeeding. These animals are thus intermediaries. We live in an environment that is full of many other creatures apart from us. It is inevitable that many diseases will remain transmitted. Uh, it is inevitable that many diseases will be transmitted by other animal, and these animals carry infecting agents. These animals carry infecting agents like viruses, bacteria, and pathogens. And from a sick person to another potential host, means healthy person. These animals are thus called intermediaries and are also known as vector. So vector-borne diseases are communicated by some other animal. Like see, direct contact by air, indirect contact, food. Rabbit is the like mosquito is a vector-borne disease. Rabbit is also there. So rabbit is a virus which infects the dog, and when the dog bites human, the rabbit virus also enters in a human body, and it does the same thing what it did in the dog case. The dog and human will ultimately die if not treated timely. Common methods of transmission. These are the common methods, and the commonest vector are known as mosquitoes. The most common, like these mosquitoes are the most common vectors. Many species of females. Many species of mosquitoes, the female need highly nutritious food in the form of blood in order to be able to lay matured eggs. The mature egg mosquito feed on many warm-blooded animals, including us. And suppose this is an infected person. A person is infected, and this is another person is healthy. This is infected. This is healthy. Suppose a mosquito bite the infected person, and while sucking the blood, the virus and the pathogen also enter into blood, and when it again then the mosquito bites a healthy person, while like and while biting the human body through its saliva and other thing, the virus also travels get into the the healthy body, and that pathogen will also make the healthy person unhealthy. In this way they can transfer disease from person to persons. Organ specific and tissue specific manifestation. Different species of microbes seems to have evolved to home into different parts of our body. If they enter from the air via nose, they are likely to go to the lungs. It is seen that the bacteria causing tuberculosis If entered through the mouth, they stay in the gut lining like a typhoid. If they enter through the mouth, they can stay in the gut lining like typhoid causing bacteria, or they can go to the liver like a virus and cause jaundice. Malaria causing microbes entering through the mosquito bite will go to the liver and then to the red blood cell. The virus causing Japanese ins, encephalitis, encephalitis or brain fever will similarly enter through a mosquito bite, but it does go to infect the brain. So different viruses and different bacteria are like evolved to like to home a different parts of the body. If the lungs are targeted, then symptoms will be cough. If the cough and breathlessness. If the liver is targeted, then symptoms will be jaundice. If the brain is targeted, it will be uh, he- obj- overs headache, vomiting, fits, or unconsciousness. We can imagine what the symptoms and signs of infections will be if we know what the target tissue or organ is and the functions that are carried out by these tissue. So we can imagine what the symptoms and signs of the infection can be. No, we have to know two things. What is the target of the particular pathogen, and second, how the target, like how the targeted tissue works, how it functions. So definitely, if the target is liver, and what liver functions, how liver function, definitely we can like imagine the symptoms of that. There will be, if the liver is infected, there will be breathlessness, there will be cough and all that things. In addition to these tissue specific effects of infectious disease, there will be other common effects too. Most common effects depends on the fact that body's immune system is activated in response to the infection. Inactive immune system re- An active immune system requires many cells to the affected tissue to kill off the disease causing microbes. This recruitment process is called inflammation. So, inflammation is what, when the body is like recruiting or making cells and trying to defeat pathogens. And apart from this process, there are local effects such as swelling, pain, and general effects such as fever. Thus, many of the effect of HIV are because the body can no longer fight off the many minor infections that we face every day. Instead, every small cold can become a pneumonia, and similarly, a minor gut infection can produce a major diarrhea with blood loss. Ultimately, uh, if it is these other infection that kill the people suffering from HIV. So what HIV is doing? HIV is only doing, it's like its immunity like is killing. It's the immunity of a person is weak, is in like worsening it. So the people cannot like fight well with when infected by other viruses. If the HIV infected person get a small infection, that it will, the body cannot fight off these infection, and they will cause small, even the small infection will cause a severe disease. If the number of microbes is very small, the disease manifestation will be minor or unnoticed. So, how severe disease is depends on the number of microbes. The number of microbes decides the manifestations, how severity and how, about the severity. If they are small, it can be minor or unnoticed, but if a large number of the same microbes are there, the disease will be severe enough and even the life threatening. Immune system is a major factor that determines number of microbes surviving in the body. So someone who has a strong immune system, the microbes, it will fight with the microbes, and the microbe number will remain small, and he will get the symptoms will be minor or sometime even unnoticed. If it is weak, in case of weak immune system, the microbes will will multiply in thousands, in lakhs, in crores, and the immune system cannot do anything much to kill. So definitely there will be more severity, and even the person may die. Principle of treatments. Now we have discussed the disease, how disease can be causes. Now discuss the principle of treatment, and then in last, then we will discuss principle of prevention. First discuss the treatment. Have you ever thought why why you sometimes feel better if you sleep for some time? Okay, one would be reduced to one would be based on what we have learned so far, it would appear that there are two ways to treat infectious disease. One would be to reduce the effect of the disease, and other to kill the cause of the disease. One to reduce the effect, one another is to kill the cause of the disease. For the first one, we can provide a treatment that will reduce the symptom. The symptoms are usually because of inflammation. Inflammation is because the immune system is fighting and is recruiting, the soldiers to fight the infection. The outside pathogen. For example, we can make medicine that bring down the fever, reduce the pain or lose motion. We can take bed rest so that we can conserve our energy. We taking bed rest because we conserve our energy, and this will enable us to have more of more of the available energy. This will enable us to have more of it available to focus on healing. So, like, why do you sometimes feel better if you sleep? Because while we are sleeping, the body is not consuming energy in external things, so whole energy is focused in fighting with the disease. This is why we feel good after sleep. But this kind of symptom directed treatment by itself will not make a infection microbes go away, and disease will not be cured. How we kill the microbes? So let's understand how we going to kill the microbes. One way is to use medicine to kill that microbes. Uh, we have uh, we have seen clear that microbes can be classified into different category. They are viruses, bacteria, fungi, and protozoa. Each of these group of organism will have some essential biochemical process, and which is peculiar to that group. So each microbes have a different biochemical cycles. Bacteria, all the bacteria have a similar biochemical cycles, and uh, their biochemical cycles are somewhat different from the viruses, and peculiar to that group and not shared with the another group. These processes may be the pathway for the synthesis of a new substance and respiration. These pathway will not be used by us. So how the bacteria replicates and how it survives. There are some biochemical life process, biochemical pathway, and we just have to block these pathways, provided the same pathway is not followed by our cells. Our human cells should follow different pathway. Otherwise, like the medicine does not differentiate the our cell or enemy cell. It only works on the basis of different mechanism. We have to make a drug, a disease, in a way that it only works on the pathogens, not on human cells. So the pathway that we are using to the drug that we are using to block the pathway should not apply in the human. For example, our cell may make a new substance by a mechanism different from that of bacteria, and we have to find that drug, the drug that blocks the bacterial synthesis pathways without affecting our own cells. Uh, this is what achieved by the antibiotics. So this is one thing for drug. One reason why the making antiviral medicine is harder than the making antibacterial medicine is that viruses have a few biochemical mechanism of their own. So they have only few of our rounds when it goes to the host cell, and it uses the living cells biochemical process. So it is very hard to uh, to 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 make a medicine specific virus for a specific virus. This means that there are a relatively few specific virus targets to aim at. Despite this limitation, there are now effective antiviral drugs. For example, a drug that keeps the HIV infection under control. Now this is how the treatment is. What we are doing in a treatment, we are first we identify disease. We will conclude this later. Let's see. Principle of prevention. So prevention is a better than cure, and we should prevent by two things: maintaining hygiene and sanitation, that we discussed in the first starting at the starting of the video. For airborne microbes, we can prevent exposure by providing living conditions that are not overcrowded. And so the more the crowded lifestyle, more crowded people, the more possibility for exposure of airborne disease, exposed by airborne disease. In another word, public hygiene is one basic key to prevent the infectious disease. Public hygiene is there. Normally we faced with infection every day. If someone is suffering from a cold and a cough in the class, it is likely that the children sitting around will be exposed to the infection. But all of them not actually suffer from the disease. Why not? Immune system of our body is normally fighting off microbes. So we have a cell that specialize the killing of infecting microbes. So someone who has a good immune system, it the number of microbes will be low, and the disease manifestation will be very low, that it mostly remain unnoticed. And vice versa in case of a person which has a weak immune system. The immune cells manage to kill off infections long before it assumes a major portion. proportion. So the main thing is what immune system will do. If the number of if number of infecting microbes is controlled, the manifestation of disease will be minor. So the immune system comes in and it will kill up. It will not make the condition worse, and will not will control in a way that the microbes number will remains like under in a way that it will not manifest a disease. The manifestation of disease will be minor. In other words, becoming exposed to or infected with an infectious microbe does not necessarily mean developing a noticeable symptoms, noticeable disease. Disease cannot will only be noticed if your immune system is weak, and the number of pathogens multiply in your body, and it will become too large, and the disease manifestation will be largely affected, will be large, and your body will not function because most of the cells for in a particular organ will be almost affected, and that organ will not work properly. So one way of looking a severe infectious disease is that it represents lack of success of immune system. So someone who gets frequent infection or a severe infection, it is because of lack of success of immune system. The functioning of the immune system, like any other systems in our body, will not be good if proper or sufficient nourishment on the food is not available. So what makes our immune system healthy? Like food, proper nourishment and proper food. All the nutrition should be there in our food. Therefore, the second basic principle of prevention of infectious disease is the availability of proper and sufficient food. Proper and sufficient food means the food which gives all the nutrients, all the proteins, carbohydrate, amino acids, and fats, which is essential for the body, and so that our immune system becomes stronger. So this is the second principle of prevention. What was the first principle? First principle was about like hygiene and sanitation is the first prevention. Second is a nutrition rich food. So having a disease, one was a mean. So having a disease once was a mean of preventing subsequent attacks of the same disease. This happens because our immune system first sees the infection microbes, it responds against, and then remembers it specifically. So the next time the particular microbes or it close relative enters in the body, the immune system respond with a greater vigor. Eliminates the infection even more quickly than the first round. It is the basis of the immunization. So suppose I get with some disease, suppose I get a COVID-19, and our my disease will like make some anti like my immune system will make some like protein or protein, so it will fight against the virus, and that memory remains in our body. When a similar kind of virus or again the same virus comes into our body, will respond to that virus more easily and more quickly. And In second time we may not even notice the disease being manifested, because it was like controlled or like killed all the bacteria at the starting. So we can fool the immune system. So what is immunization now? What is immunization? How we can immune ourselves? So without getting ill at a first. So we can fool our immune system into developing a memory for a particular infection by putting something that mimics the microbe. So the microbe mimicry is to be done. We generally inject a weak or a dead microbe in a body, and the body fights it. And while fighting the body, and it makes the soldiers, and the soldiers are remembers always. Mm. This does not actually causes a disease, but it would prevent any subsequent exposure. So there are these are vaccine against tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, uh, measles, polio, and other and many others. These are from the public health program from the children immunization for the preventing infectious disease. Some hepatitis viruses which causes a jaundice are transmitted through water. Uh, there is a vaccine for one of them, hepatitis A, in the market. So what is immunization? So there is a story behind it. Like traditional Indian and Chinese medicines, medical systems sometimes deliberately rubbed the skin crust from the smallpox victim into the healthy skin, and they thus hoped to induce a mild form of smallpox that would create a resistance again. This is a traditional immunization. What they are doing, they are taking a small infection, a small part, a skin part from the infected to a healthy one, so that the healthy one will not get, will not manifest a disease, and but also create of soldiers fighting for it, and this will be remembered. Immunization is a mimicry. So this was the story of a cow. This was because the smallpox virus is closely related to the cowpox virus. So there is a story behind it. Okay, so let me just briefly explain this. There used to be a community in maybe England or somewhere there, Ireland. So who are like dairy producers, like they used to do dairy, and they have through the cows they get the cowpox viruses, and they get infected with cowpox virus, and over the time they get developed the immunity, uh, because the same virus is attacking every time, and they developed a memory, how, and their bodies knows what protein is to be released, what protein to be formed when a similar virus will come. And when the small virus when they were attacked by the small virus, and as the small virus and smallpox and cow pox virus are similar, so that protein and that antibacteria, whatever the immunity made for the small cowpox, also worked for the smallpox. So these the cowpox guys, these dairy guys did not get smallpox. So cow is a vacca in Latin. So this is how the cowpox is vacina. From this the root word of the vaccination come from. So vaccine, like the word vacca, vaccine, vaccination come from the Latin word cow. This was the story behind it. Rabies virus is spread by the bite of infected dog. Not a dog, infected dog. Not every dog can cause a virus. Only those dogs who are already infected by rabies virus when can only infect rabies virus when they bite humans or other animals. They are uh, there are anti-rabies vaccine in for both humans and animals. Let's quickly summarize this chapter. Health is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and health of an individual is dependent on his or her physical surroundings and his or her economic status. These are the contributory causes. So disease are classified into acute and chronic depending upon the duration. Many disease may due to the infection on it digi- may be due to infectious and non-infectious causes. Infectious are those which are caused by the microbes. Non-infectious are internals like high blood pressure, high sugar, heart disease, diabetes, and all that. Infectious agents belong to the different categories of organisms and may be unicellular, microscopic, or multicellular. The category to which a disease causing organism belongs decide the type of treatment. Infectious agents are spread through air, water, or physical contact or vector. Prevention is more desirable than the successful treatment. So, prevention is better than cure. Infectious disease can be prevented by public health hygiene. Infectious which are caused by microbes. So, this is why the public health hygiene is necessary. You know, measures to reduce the exposure to the infectious disease. Why the hygiene is important? Because it reduces the exposure to get infected. Infectious disease can also be prevented by using immunization, which mimics just I just have discussed this. like immunization is just mimic like real disease, and our body memorizes the proteins and how to kill that, and this memory remains in our body. So this is how it works. When the next times when real pathogen comes, it kill off instantly without creating any symptoms or significant manifestation. Effective prevention of infectious disease in the community requires that everybody should have access to public hygiene and immunizations. Okay, thank you for watching this video.